what is virtual reality? Virtual reality is a technology that basically enables your learners or your learning audience to immerse themselves in a world that you've created that probably helps them, improve their training outcomes. So when you think of training that's more behavioral, when you're trying to elicit a performance that's more behavioral, that's really complex, that's not really something like, at the end of this course, this person should recall the 5 benefits of my product. I mean, that's not really behavioral, but something that's really high on that Bloom's taxonomy, that's what VR training is really, really good for. So if you think about it, scenarios, real world scenarios, where the answer is not so clear, where the situation is more gray rather than black or white, these are something that virtual reality really lends itself well to. And it needs to be said that your experience, VR experience, it needs to be designed well. It can be easy to get wrong, but if you partner with a good organization that knows what they're doing, or if you have the in-house capabilities to do it well, I would really encourage you to look into VR for those types of training that cannot really be done through standard e-learning. So it calls into account a lot of analysis, a lot of thinking on the behalf of the person who's actually undergoing the training. But then on the other side, on the flip side, the positive is that when they go through that thinking process, when they actually are in an environment that forces them to do it, you can bet 100% that that learning is going to be that much more effective and the retention is going to be that much more effective. So these are some examples that I have for you for how to use VR in training. The context that we are seeing here is sales training. So sales training is multifaceted, I would say, because a salesperson would also need to know about the product, but they would also need to know how to deal with people, how to deal with customers. And again, that is that behavioral aspect that I was talking about. So when you think of that, when you want to train the behavioral aspect, the reaction, how to judge body language and all of that, VR is a really good tool to do that. On the same basis, if you think of customer service reps or customer service assistants, these are people whose job it is to listen to customers complain day in and day out. And empathy is something that they need to bring to the job every single day. It's really, really hard to do. I do not think I would succeed in that environment. But for people who are actually in that position, I think VR is a really great tool to help them exercise their reactions in a safe space that basically doesn't, tax them for doing something wrong, but basically teaches them how to do something better. And that's all it is. You can try to think of VR as a way to develop effective behaviors and interactions, no matter what the situation is. And I also mentioned something about gray area training. So one thing that we see come to the fore is something like prevention of sexual harassment. So things like that, people may not intentionally do things that are, can be construed as sexual harassment, but people, that's something, it's a gray area. They need to know where the boundaries are. And for things like that, VR is really good because you can start to code in all those scenarios that may happen, have people go through it, and then give them the just-in-time training that they need to know, saying this is probably where you need to stop, this is probably wrong, this is a good answer, great, you know what to do. So things like that, where they can immerse themselves, try it out without being penalized, and then learn from it. These are all great candidates for VR. I have a couple of examples for you. I think if you are interested in trying out VR for yourself, we have a few tools in the marketplace that actually do it. So Trivantis is a company, I think they are behind Lectora, the authoring tool. So they have Scenario VR. It's an online authoring tool. You can create these sort of 360-degree virtual environments that I'm just going to show you. Adobe Captivate also, in their latest, I think 2019 release, they had a lot of features to do with 360-degree virtual reality kind of training. That's something you can check out as well. But if you really want to go all out into this immersive environment where you actually need virtual reality glasses, then Unity is the platform you would need to consider. So Unity is actually a game platform, but people are using it to develop these virtual reality worlds. And it's really powerful and really flexible in the way you can actually go about creating that sort of immersive training experience. So since I said I would show you an example, so this is a showroom. It's a Toyota showroom that is created in Scenario VR, the same tool that I was talking about. Although this is not true VR per se, you can see how immersive it can be. For example, using this browser, I'm actually able to go inside each of these cars just by clicking on this. So I hope it works. Okay, so now I'm inside this car. I can actually see the interiors of the car, the back, the front, the dashboard, the computer system, everything. So I really don't need to go to the showroom to see it. I can actually immerse myself online in this experience and just get almost the same feeling. And there's other things that you can do. You can check out information about the car. You can actually look at what its stats are, and you can do that for almost every car. And now this is a really simple example, but it just goes to show the amount of flexibility that one has if they want to design such an experience for their learners. And the technology is here, the tools are here. It's just up to us to start using them.